This is a full tour of our plants here at the Heirloom Farmer. I'm Abby and I am really excited to give you a tour around today and show you our greenhouse and all of the plants that we have available. We grow all of these plants ourselves using natural and organic practices. I take care of them exactly the same as I do for my own garden, and they get lots of TLC for sure. I'm going to go through and give you quite a bit of detail. I'm kind of calling this a plant nerd tour, so if you like the details of all things plants, this is for you. There are two ways that you can shop our plants. The first is through our plant sales, and I'll give you those dates. Our next plant sale is actually tomorrow, May 9th. That is our Mother's Day weekend plant sale from 10 a.m. to noon. But if you come at 9:30 tomorrow morning, I will give you a tour of my own garden. We also have plant sales on May 23rd and May 30th. There will be more details about both of those coming out to our email list. So make sure you go to our website and sign up for that. We're going to have a few workshops, some activities for kids, and a few other things. So watch for those details. But definitely come see us tomorrow, May 9th from 10 a.m. to noon to get any of these plants that you see in the tour today. The other way to shop is our plants are available for self-serve shopping. So you can come any day between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., shop from our plants, and then pay inside our farm store. There's a little self-serve checkout in there. So you're welcome to come shop self-serve when it works for you. But if you come during one of our plant sales, I'm here, Steve is here. We're here to answer any questions that you have. Of course, just visit with you. We love to meet all of you and see you and visit with you, answer any questions that you have, help you choose the best plants for your garden and growing space. We usually have a few other things going on. Often there's some giveaways. So you really want to check out the plant sales. They're really, really fun. They happen rain or shine. We always have a good time no matter what the weather is. So lots of great reasons to come to our plant sales. And like I mentioned, we will be doing some gardening workshops, and I have a few things I'm planning for kids, young gardeners. So watch for those. Make sure you're on our email list. And we would really love to see you at one or all of our plant sales. I also like to give tours of my garden, and we have this little teaching garden here, this little raised bed. So there's always things that I will share with you there to help you in your gardening journey, whether you are just getting started or you've been gardening for years. There's always things that we can share, and I always learn from you all as well. All right, so last thing before we get into the nerdy plant details. For more information on any of the plant sales, a list of available plants, or to get on our email list, go to our website, theheirloomfarmer.com, and you can get all of the details there. Oh my gosh, look at these pansies. They are amazing. Also, these adorable colored rocks. My niece and nephews have been coloring these rocks and hiding them here. Super cute. They want people to take the rocks home. So if you find a rock, please feel free to take it home with you. All right, so we are going to start our plant tour. We're gonna head over here to get started. As I mentioned earlier, we grow all of our own plants. We use natural and organic practices. We fertilize with our own worm castings. And I choose varieties that I grow in my own garden, that thrive in our climate, and that taste amazing or look beautiful or both, because I want you to succeed in growing food for your family and beautiful plants and enjoy them. So we really are particular when we choose the varieties because we want them to do well for you. So we've got these early jalapeno peppers here. One thing I'll mention with all of the peppers is you want to wait till weather has warmed up and we're past all danger of frost. I like to wait and plant peppers when the low temps are in the 50s. So probably a few weeks. On May 15th, I'll check the long range forecast and kind of decide then, but peppers like warmth. So the early jalapenos, they're kind of like a traditional jalapeno as far as look and flavor and heat, but they're early, so they usually mature a little bit sooner. If you've had trouble growing jalapeno peppers in the past, maybe not getting much of a yield, try these because they do better in our cooler, shorter growing season, and they will produce jalapeno peppers earlier. This is Martin's carrot pepper. I should also mention all of these are heirloom varieties, but this one in particular is traced back to the Martin family, a Pennsylvania Dutch family in Lancaster County, and that is where this pepper was grown and cultivated originally, and now the seeds are available. But based on its name, you might be able to tell, it looks kind of like a carrot. It's a red-orange pepper with a sort of a carrot shape. It is hot with a little bit of a smoky flavor, beautiful pepper. And again, it is known to do well in our climate. Fish peppers are another pepper. They are the hottest pepper that we have this year. They are hotter than a jalapeno, but they are really good. My dad likes to dice them up and put them in salsa, on sandwiches, mix them into things. They're beautiful pickled because they're a white and green variegated pepper, but they are really hot. So if you like hot peppers, this one's for you. They start to get variegated leaves. I don't know if you can see that one there. So they're green and white leaves. They are a very beautiful plant. I always grow a few just because of the ornamental, the aesthetics of the plant. But if you like a hot pepper, these are for you. They're extremely prolific all season long. And they also have a really neat history, traced back to Westchester, Pennsylvania in 1940. There was actually a gentleman who grew these plants, and then he traded the seeds with a local beekeeper in exchange for arthritis treatments, which the arthritis treatment he wanted was to get stung by bees on purpose. And he felt that healed his arthritis or improved it. So he traded these pepper seeds for that treatment. Kind of a crazy story there, but then these peppers became more widely grown because of the beauty and flavor. But yeah, definitely a pretty unique story there. These are King of the North bell peppers. They are the best bell pepper I've ever found for central Pennsylvania because they thrive in our shorter, cooler growing season. If you've had trouble growing bell peppers in the past, I get it. I had the same problem before I started growing these King of the North peppers, but these mature earlier. They grow in our cooler climate, and they mature to a red bell pepper. But one thing you can do with the bell peppers is if you like green bell peppers, you like that crunchier bite, harvest them while they're still green. If you like the milder, sweeter peppers, let them fully mature to red. They'll turn a really beautiful red, and that's when they're going to be milder and sweeter. But you can harvest them however you prefer. But definitely give those a try before you give up on growing bell peppers. Also, the mini bell peppers, these are great for growing in containers. Just make sure you have like a 3 to 5 gallon container. Kids also love these because they're miniature, and they're also different colors. So each plant is just one color, but of these, the plant, you know, it's kind of fun to see whether you're gonna get red or yellow or orange or chocolate peppers. So if you like little snacking peppers or you have kids, these are a great one to get them interested in peppers. These sheep nose pimento peppers, they're a red tomato shaped pepper. They have a really thick and juicy flesh, and they sit kind of squat. So if you like stuffing peppers, these are a really good one for stuffing. They sit perfectly in your casserole dish. And it is another one that grows well in our climate. And then lipstick pepper, if I can say that correctly, is by far the most prolific, meaning it has produced the most peppers per plant, sweet pepper that I have ever grown. These plants are loaded with peppers. I mean, like, there's more peppers than plant. They are just super abundant producers, and they have always done really well in my garden. They are a long pimento type pepper, very sweet. They're bright red, and again, just very prolific. They are great for all kinds of things, but really good for roasting and grilling to create kind of that deeper flavor. So give those a try. All right, now we've got a selection of marigolds. Strawberry blonde are my favorite marigolds, but we've also got variety. Some are short, like French marigolds. They're shorter, 10 to 12 inches. But then we also have some like Cracker Jack that can actually get, 2 to 3 feet tall. They are all covered in blooms. Marble Gold is kind of mid-range. It's usually 18 inches tall. Lots of blooms. And one of the things I love about marigolds is they start blooming, really soon. Like these, I have some outside I'll show you that are just about to bloom, and they will bloom all the way through all weather conditions until we get a freeze in the fall. So marigolds are always a winner, and they also will attract beneficial insects to your garden and flower beds. We've got eucalyptus. Bonus, it is deer resistant, and it is great for adding to floral arrangements, using for kind of aromatherapy. It smells amazing and it's beautiful. I love using it in arrangements with sunflowers and zinnias, so I always add some of that to my garden every year. We've got silver dollar and baby blue. The silver dollar have the bigger leaves, and the baby blue are kind of the more traditional, what most people are used to seeing with eucalyptus, but they're both absolutely beautiful. We've got rosy rosemary, which smells amazing. Actually, if you need a stress reliever, you need rosy rosemary and some of this Munstead lavender. Just take a moment every morning and inhale the scent of these two plants. It is amazing. This rosy rosemary is one of the most aromatic rosemaries I've found. It is the one I always grow because I just love how it smells. I actually have one that I grow as a house plant so that I can enjoy it all year round. And the same with the lavender. You can grow them both outdoors. Rosemary, I recommend planting it in a pot and bringing it in over the winter if you want it to keep coming back. With the lavender, you can also grow it in a pot and bring it inside over winter. However, I have planted this particular lavender outdoors and had it successfully over winter. But it's kind of considered a tender perennial, a little finicky with overwintering. The biggest thing is it does not like to sit in wet soil. It likes to be on the drier side. So if you plant it somewhere a little bit drier, good drainage, maybe a little bit more protected of an area near your home, it will overwinter for you for many years. It also gets a beautiful lavender flower on it, and there are many uses for lavender. So check out both of those. We've got flag mixed petunias. I grew these because it is the 250th birthday of America, and I wanted to grow something to kind of celebrate that. Now, each plant is one color. It doesn't have all three colors on the same plant. But you can see it's starting to bloom, and some of them are red, some are blue. It's a little bit more of a purple, but still, it counts. And then white. So that is for the Birthday of America celebration. I can't wait till they are in full bloom. We've got pink petunias, a rose petunia that has double blooms, and then these asters. They're an apricot color. They're just getting started because they like warmer weather. I didn't want to start them too soon, but they will take off and grow 34 to 40 inches tall. They're a huge plant, tons of blooms, and these are a really beautiful cut flower. I also just love enjoying them in my garden. They are a really pretty color. Down here on the bottom, we've got some shade-loving plants. We've got a mix of colors of lobelia. It is a spilling, trailing plant with clusters of these little flowers. We've got purple, blues, there's probably some white. Here's this light sky blue. Those are excellent, especially for hanging baskets. And then we've got several varieties of begonias here. The leaves on this begonia are super cool. Begonias like a little bit more shade, but they bloom all season, and their foliage is really pretty. We have a few more shade plants over in our other greenhouse that I'll show you, but we are going to head outside. Here's these straw blonde marigolds. They are a little bit redder in cooler weather, and then as it warms up, they actually turn to a strawberry yellowish pink color. It's actually pretty cool how they change colors. All right, hopefully we don't get too wet or blow away while we're outside. We have so many tomatoes, but I want to show you, we have these geranium kiss tomatoes in these larger pots. The foliage on them is just really neat, but they will produce like a golf ball sized red tomato on shorter, stockier plants that most likely will not need trellis and can grow in a container. If you grow them in a container, just make sure you feed them well. And if they get a lot of fruit on one side, you may have to stake them up, but they don't get super tall, so they're great for containers. They're great if you don't have a big trellis, and they are still really prolific. And then scattered around, we have some of these Cherry Falls tomatoes in hanging baskets. This one has alyssum in with it. There's some others that have marigolds in with them to add a little bit of color. But they will start to spill down over the side of the basket. They're a trailing tomato. They're already blooming, so you will get super early tomatoes with these. Just protect them if we get a frost yet. Otherwise, put them out in full sun. And they will start to spill down over the basket and produce an abundance of cherry tomatoes. They are super cool. So give those a try and get some early tomatoes. We've got lettuce. The colors of this lettuce, I'm gonna probably mispronounce this. This is Rouge de Hiver. It is a French romaine lettuce. You can harvest individual leaves as a leaf lettuce, or you can let it mature to a romaine head lettuce. It is absolutely beautiful. I can show you some, maybe at the end of the tour, I'll show you some that's a little bit more mature over in the teaching garden. We've got Aunt May's Bib lettuce, which has super cool history. Actually, in Boalsburg, Pennsylvania, Nestor and Amber Keene acquired this lettuce from Aunt May Smith of Millheim. And they started growing this lettuce at their home in Boalsburg. And when Nestor ran his barbershop in Boalsburg, he would actually give his customers packets of this lettuce. That's how amazing he thought it was. So it does really well in our area. It is a really good lettuce. I usually let it mature to like a full head of lettuce. But again, you can also harvest individual leaves. It is really, really good lettuce. Cimarron is also a beautiful reddish bronze lettuce. It is slow to bolt. It has beautiful large leaves, all really good lettuces. We do have a few more varieties of heirloom lettuce, some other cut and come again leaf lettuce coming soon, but give these 3 a try. And if you've struggled to grow lettuce in the past, definitely check out my lettuce growing tips. We've got Bloomsdale spinach, arugula, kale, and Swiss chard to fill out more of your salad greens. We've got kohlrabi and a variety of heirloom beets. Some of these you can see they're starting to get their color. That's a golden beet. I love all beets, but golden beets are my favorites. Here's some of the Cherry Falls tomatoes with marigolds. We've also got some more brassicas. I recommend getting those planted as soon as possible. They can definitely tolerate a frost, so you can plant them now. We've got broccoli, Brussels sprouts, a couple types of cabbage, and a couple types of cauliflower. So definitely check those out and get them in your garden. We've got some of these pansies. I don't know, this color combination is amazing. I love that one. All right, over here, more pansies. It is pansy season in full swing. Pansy flowers are edible, so you can use them in salads, to decorate cakes and cupcakes. So many uses for them, as well as just enjoying them outdoors, and they can tolerate frosts and cold weather, so plant them now. Sometimes they'll slow down flowering over the summer, trim them back a little bit, let them do their thing, and then I almost always get a beautiful bloom in the fall. So they are actually a very long blooming pansy, and sometimes they will even come back the following year for me if they like where they were planted. Sweet alyssum, this is not only beautiful and smells amazing, but it's really good for attracting beneficial insects to your garden. If you struggle with aphids in your garden or on your roses or on your plants, try planting sweet alyssum. It will attract things like lady beetles and lacewings, and they feed on aphids. So give that a try. It's also beautiful and smells amazing. We've got sage. You'll see some gaps in here. I have more plants coming. I'm always growing more plants, so more plants coming. Sage is a perennial herb. It smells amazing. We use it every year to make venison sausage and pork sausage, but you can use it in all different culinary dishes. It also gets beautiful spikes of purple flowers on them. And like I said, it's a perennial, so it will come back year after year after year. Calendula is another excellent plant for your garden to help attract beneficial insects. I have 3 varieties of calendula right now. A yellow porcupine, which I'm super excited about. It is a bright yellow flower, but its petals are kind of, I don't know how to describe it, rounded, quill-like looking. So it's just a pretty cool looking calendula. Also strawberry calendula, that's more of a pink peach flower. And then also your traditional alpha calendula with the orange flower. These also have medicinal properties, but if you're looking at calendula for medicinal properties, I would choose the alpha variety. It's known to have the most medicinal properties as compared to these other 2, but they're all going to attract beneficial insects. We've got echinacea. This is also known as purple cone flower. It's a beautiful flower. attracts all kinds of pollinators, butterflies, bees, beneficial insects. It is always busy in my garden. And you can use the cones of the flowers for some pretty unique floral arrangements. So give those a try. They're a perennial. They will come back year after year and they will slowly spread. Just a cool, fun assortment of plants over here, along with Dusty Miller, which can tolerate cold weather and frost. It's just a beautiful ornamental that I like to add in with a lot of my flowers just for that silvery foliage. More pansies, these brush strokes, so many different colors, frizzle sizzle. Oh my gosh, the colors of these pansies, and they smell amazing, especially the frizzle sizzle. They just so fragrant. Oh my gosh. All right. So let's head in the tomato house. Over here in the teaching garden, I'll show you real quick. This is arugula. I planted about 2 weeks ago. All of the plants in this bed have been planted out and survived multiple frosts. So this will give you an idea of what you can have growing in your garden now and not have to worry about covering. This is Aunt May's bib lettuce. This is Cimarron, Aunt May's bib, and this is Rouge de Hiver. And I like to stagger the colors. You just get this pretty aesthetic of the red and green. So beautiful. I've got rainbow carrots that I direct sowed, and then beet transplants, bunching onions or spring onions, calendula, and sweet alyssum. So all of these you could plant now and they will thrive in this cooler weather. But let's head into the tomato greenhouse. All of our tomatoes are heirloom varieties. Now, when it comes to heirloom tomatoes, there are actually thousands of varieties of heirloom tomatoes. So an heirloom tomato is a variety that has been passed down for generations, at least 50 years, oftentimes much longer. They are open pollinated, non-hybrid, non-GMO. And they're valued specifically for their flavor, diversity, and history. So there's a reason that somebody saved the seeds and passed them down through generations. And flavor is usually a huge part of that. And we select our varieties based on flavor, what grows well in our climate, what is really prolific and is going to do well for you, as well as providing you with a fun variety. I always like to grow some that are pretty colors, some that are sweeter, especially to get kids interested in gardening and growing and eating tomatoes. But there are thousands of varieties to choose from, so it's always hard to choose. But these are varieties that I've been, carefully selecting. But we will kind of just go through. So Tiny Tim tomato is a dwarf tomato. It only gets like 12 to 15 inches tall. And it gets red cherry tomatoes on. Those are always really fun to grow, and one of the first producers in my garden, or in containers. I'll grow them in containers on our deck and just around here. And they're one of the first that we harvest every year. An orange hat is an extra dwarf plant growing like 6 to 9 inches tall, and it gets little orangish yellow cherry tomatoes on. So both of these are great for containers. They're going to produce early, and they are going to produce quite a few tomatoes. Now, obviously they're not going to be as prolific as an indeterminate huge tomato that we're going to talk about here in a moment, but you're still going to get a really nice harvest from these two dwarf varieties. You don't have to trellis them. You can grow them in fairly small containers and pots, and they are going to thrive for you. Now, Sunrise Bumblebee is my favorite cherry tomato. It is an indeterminate, so it's going to just keep growing and growing all season. It will produce right up until a frost. These beautiful yellow cherry tomatoes with a pink blush, and they're a little bit sweeter, just so delicious. I love to snack on those in the garden all summer and fall. Cherry Roma, it's like a Roma tomato as far as, you know, plum shaped, but they're only about 1 inch long. And they are really good for sun drying, or you can sun dry them by roasting them in your oven at a really low temperature, and then enjoying those as a sun-dried tomato, because they're a little bit on the drier side when it comes to tomatoes. They have lots of meaty flesh but not as much juice, so that's what makes them good for sun drying. Excuse me. Peg of My Heart is a new to me tomato. It has a really neat story. If you go to Seed Savers Exchange, you can actually see a documentary on the woman Peg who cultivated and saved these seeds and grows them. Super neat documentary. I'm really excited to give these a try. They're a large beefsteak with that classic tomato flavor. So give those a try. I'm super excited about them. You can also watch that documentary for a little bit more of the story behind that tomato. Matt's Wild Cherry Tomato. If you are looking for a prolific red cherry tomato, this is the one for you. I will share a video on Facebook showing my Matt's Wild Cherry Tomato plant last year. It was like 9 feet tall, covered in tomatoes, and I really love the flavor of this cherry tomato. Definitely that classic tomato flavor and prolific. Homestead Tomato is a red slicer. If you are looking for just a good red slicing tomato, this is the one you want. It's going to produce in all kinds of weather conditions, just a really nice red slicer. Really tough and resilient plant. Black Strawberry is one of my favorites as far as unique coloring goes. They are like golf ball sized tomatoes, but they're marbled purple, pink, and green. So beautiful. Kids love them. They're also beautiful for making tomato salads. Just the coloring is amazing. And they are also fairly early maturing at just 60 days. So they're often one of the first tomatoes I harvest from a full-sized tomato plant. And then they're prolific all season long. San Marzano and Amish Paste, they're going to be two of your best tomatoes if you are canning sauces, diced tomatoes, salsas, things like that. These are the two that you're going to want. They are your traditional paste tomatoes. All right, so I'm going to kind of skip a few things here. We've got some basil, lots of varieties of basil and some other plants coming along, but I want to get back to focusing on the tomatoes before this tour gets too much longer. So, because I could talk about plants all day, and if you come to our plant sale, we can talk more about plants. But this hillbilly potato leaf tomato, as you may guess from the name, it has roots in the Appalachian range or region back to the 1800s. It is a beautiful yellow 1 pound tomato with a pink blush to it. It is known for lower acidity, so if acidity is a problem for you, or you prefer the lower acidity, try this tomato. It's also just so beautiful to slice up and put on a plate with a little bit of basil. It's just absolutely gorgeous, great to take to picnics. It's a conversation starter. Brandywine is a more well-known heirloom variety. It's like a pink reddish tomato, large slicer, really good flavor. Nepal is also a red slicer, and it has that really good kind of what you would call old-fashioned tomato flavor. So that's a really good one if you're looking again for just a traditional red tomato. Bread and Salt is an ox heart type. It's a pinkish red color, really meaty flesh. It makes it great for slicing and fresh eating, and also for preserving. So if you're looking for kind of an all-purpose large tomato, this is a really good choice, and really good for tomato sandwiches. Although I probably say that about all the slicers, but Bread and Salt and Hillbilly are definitely my favorites for tomato sandwiches. We've got Cherokee Purple. which is a purple, like a deep purple pink, kind of more of a smoky flavor to that tomato, but it is beautiful, really unique flavor. And then we've got a few more I'll just run through real quick. Brad's Atomic Grape, Orange Icicle, Primary Colors, Aunt Ruby's German Green, and Pink Fang. So all really unique, really good tomatoes. One thing I want to mention is if you are new to growing multicolored tomatoes, if you're only used to growing red tomatoes and you're gonna try some multicolored tomatoes this year, you might be wondering, how do I know when they're ripe? Especially, some like the black strawberry, they are kind of all different colors as they're growing. And obviously, Aunt Ruby's German Green is green when it's ripe. So how do you tell when to harvest these tomatoes and when they're ripe? So there's two main ways that I use to determine if these multicolored tomatoes are ripe. So normally they will be really shiny when they are young, and when they mature and they're ready to harvest, they actually get a more dull color to them. So look for that color change. But then the other thing is when you touch them, they're gonna feel juicy. So they will go from feeling firm and hard to feeling juicy. And those are two ways that you can tell that's not based on color. Now, normally there is still a slight color change, even with the German Green. There's going to be a slight blush to them. But if you don't want to rely on color, or you're new to growing a variety, use the dull sheen and the juicy feel to determine when to harvest them. All right, we've got some more shade-loving plants down here. A lot of coleus, which is an absolutely beautiful plant for foliage. And then, as I mentioned, we've got basil, and these are two really cool varieties. Spice Boys, which is a globe bushy basil, and then lettuce leaf, which gets ginormous leaves. They'll actually get to be the size of my hand. And then we've also got your traditional basils. So apparently I've talked too much. I think I'm losing my voice. That is what we've got for plants right now. If you would like a full list, you can go to our website, theheirloomfarmer.com. If you have questions about any of the plants, if you have questions about your garden, please let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. You can leave a comment, or better yet, come to one of our plant sales. I would love to meet you and talk to you in person. We can talk about gardening and plants. I'm happy to help you choose plants for your gardening, or for your garden and flower beds, and answer any questions that you have. All right, that is it for this tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I can't wait to see you in person. All right, thank you, and God bless.